Hi, and welcome to season 4 of One Stop Business Workshop. I'm Susanna Heath-Eves, and I make documentaries. I'm going to be your moderator for today's panel, Getting Started, Preparing Proposals and Applications with Canada Council for the Arts, National Film Board of Canada, and Telefilm Canada. I am a white woman with long blonde hair wearing a blue sweater, sitting in a white-walled office with art prints and some plants in the background. Today's session will have ASL interpretation and live captioning available for our Zoom attendees. Excuse me one sec. Sorry about that. And live captioning for our YouTube audience. Please click on the CC button to access the captions. Today's session is about how to prepare proposals and applications for your film projects. We have Megan Leduc from Canada Council for the Arts, Julie Blondin from Telefilm, and Julie Roy from National Film Board of Canada. By the end of the session, you'll have a better understanding of what each of the organizations is looking for when going through your proposal or application, eligibility criteria, and strategies on how to effectively communicate your vision. Stick around to the end for the Q&A, where I will ask our panel the questions you provided when you signed up. You'll also get a chance to ask your questions using the Zoom Q&A or the YouTube live comment section. If we aren't able to get to your question, we'll try our best to provide a written response after the session on the One Stop Business Workshop event site. We'll provide a link in a follow-up email after the series. Before we get started with our first presentation, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm a guest on the unsurrendered ancestral lands of the Algonquin Nation. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to be present in this territory. If you're joining us using the Zoom app on your laptop or desktop, you can adjust the size of the view of these slides I'm sharing by hovering your pointer over the boundary between the shared screen and the interpreters in my videos until you see a gray line separating both videos. You can click and drag this line from side to side to adjust your view and make either side larger or smaller. Okay, I'd like to first introduce Megan Leduc and invite her to begin her presentation. Hi, Megan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Leduc. I'm a program officer at the Canada Council for the Arts. Been there for about 8 years. I am a Black woman with curly shoulder-length hair. I'm currently sitting in my apartment, which is very white with a blurred background. Canada Council's offices and where I live is also in Ottawa, which is the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation. So I just also find it's important to acknowledge that as well. So we are tight on time, so let's jump right into it. So next slide, please. So just to get started and apply for grants at Canada Council, everything is done through our online portal, which is essentially a virtual portal where you can submit applications. You'll notice on this little screenshot of our website, you'll always see a button on the top right-hand corner that says portal. It's in green, it's a little black and white here, apologies. So you'll click on that in order to create an account or log into your account. And this is where you're going to be having all of your interactions with Council for submitting applications. So next slide. What is going to happen is if you're creating an account, you're going to have to select what type of applicant that you are and what discipline you are working in. So in this case, filmmakers are going to be applying under media arts. And you'll see that we have a very broad definition of media arts at Council. When it comes to moving images or films, this can be shorts, feature length, it could be documentaries, it could be experimental, it could be anything. Council does have a focus on what it funds in media arts, even though we support a wide variety of media arts projects, and that is works where the artist initiates and drives the project while maintaining complete creative and editorial control at all times. Also, Council does not support work intended for the creative industries of film, television, and video games. So it's important to note that it's artist-led projects, so the directors of works can apply. If you are strictly a producer, unfortunately, you will not be eligible to apply for funding at the Canada Council. So next slide. So there are certain types of profiles, which is essentially identifies what type of artist artists that you're applying to, and these profiles determine which components you can apply to, or grants. So the ones that I think everybody should keep an eye out for if you're a filmmaker is the new and early career artists. So this doesn't necessarily mean young people, but it could be people that are getting started in filmmaking, if you're doing a career change. So this would be a place to look, but you have to be at least 18 years or older. And then there's also an independent media artist. So this is for people who have some experience in creating independent works. As you go through the process, it'll prompt you with all the requirements for qualifying for these profiles. Also important to note is we have profiles specifically for Indigenous artists. If you self-identify as being First Nation, Inuit, or Métis, you can select the aspiring artists or the First Nation, Inuit, or Métis artist profile. So essentially, it all encompasses all different types of disciplines, whether it's media arts, theater, etc. You can also apply for these profiles if you're an Indigenous artist. Next slide, please. So you'll see on the right here, we have a component that is specific for First Nation, Inuit, and Métis peoples, and it is run by staff, Indigenous staff, and assessed by Indigenous artists and staff. So you'll see that there are the travel components, small scale activities, short-term projects, and long-term projects. The last two there, if you're working on some type of film project, if it's less than a year, you're looking at short-term projects. If it's more than a year, then you're looking at long-term projects. And then if you have a new and early career profile or a independent media artist profile, you'll be looking at the options on the right, the left, my apologies. So Explore and Create has professional development for artists, which is to get training, mentorships, internships, that sort of thing to brush up on your skills, learn new skills. Then we have Research and Creation, which is for the initial stages of a project. So maybe like script development or testing out new practical effects. Concept to Realization can include the full creative process of creating a film. So if you have any production or post-production costs, they have to go to Concept to Realization, but you can also just do a whole project from beginning to end in that component. And then we got Arts Across Canada and Arts Abroad, which both have travel components. So if you are presenting a film at a film festival, for example, you can apply for travel expenses to go and attend that event. And lastly, we have residencies. So if you have an artistic institution invites you to do a residency for more than a week, you can apply for funding to cover the travel expenses as well as registration and any other related costs. Next slide, please. So Canada Council has two types of assessments, how we review our applications. We do peer assessment and also internal committees. So internal committees are taken care by council staff, while peer assessment is done by artists and arts administrators from the community. So, but at the end of the day, they're both evaluated based on the assessment criteria of each component. So just to note, peer assessment includes arts and arts professionals from across Canada. They have different backgrounds, expertise. We try to get a nice variety of people from across the country, different genders, different backgrounds, etc., to make sure that we're getting a wide perspective. Next slide. So what's very important, we're jumping into the tips section now. I mentioned assessment criteria. All of our decisions are based on the assessment criteria, and this is included in each application form. So please pay very close attention to it. Each component has its own set of criteria, and some of them will pop up in various components, but it's not necessarily the same ones across the board. And also they can be weighted differently from one component to another. So it's very, very important to pay attention to that. For example, there might be an artistic merit criteria in one component and doesn't even exist in another component. So it's very, very important to pay attention to that and how those criteria get linked back to the questions in the application form. Next slide. What's also important to note is knowing that the committee is coming from all of these different perspectives. We don't want to assume that the committee knows you, your work, or your community, or your scene. Context is key. You want to provide all of that information so that you're not leaving them with any questions. Don't assume that the committee can read between the lines. They can't assess what you don't tell them. Very important. You could have situations where sometimes there's some missing information and that you have different committee members coming to different conclusions while reading the same application. So you want to take that guesswork out of it. Also, don't assume that the committee is cynical, aloof, or looking for you to impress them with your fancy words. They want you to succeed and they want you to write in your own authentic voice. This is very important. We got people from all different backgrounds looking at applications. So authenticity is important, and it definitely shines through in applications. All right, and next slide. We're gonna have to go through these fast because we got 2 minutes left. So support material. So you might be asked to include samples of your work and other documents to support your application. What's very important is it can be used to explain your project and the feasibility of it. So this can include like resumes of your collaborators, letters of support. Very important is producers agreements for filmmakers. The other purpose for support material is to show your experience. So that's like video or audio, which can be relevant to your application, can also show your previous work so that you have the skills to complete this project, and can also include works in progress of the work that you're proposing. Next slide. More on support material. Very important to be selective about what you submit, because the peers only have 10 to 15 minutes to go through that material. So upload it in order of importance. If you're submitting full-length items, you might want to outline the segments you want them to review. Better yet, send edited clips or specific excerpts of like scripts and whatnot. And if you're sending links, make sure that they can work over a long period of time, because depending on when you submit, it can be a while before they can review it. And we don't want broken links with applications. And next slide. What's also very important is please get in touch with us. The staff is here to help you. If you're not sure about the application, the criteria, your eligibility, get in touch with us, and get in touch with us as early as possible. We have cutoff dates or deadlines that crop up throughout the year, which is obviously a very busy time for us. So it's very important for people to get in touch ahead of time, because we get flooded with inquiries at those periods of time, and live people get back to you. So we have, if you go to our contact page, you can find all of this contact information as well. Thank you very much.
Super. Thank you so much, Megan. You got through a lot in 10 minutes. I'd like to invite Julie Blondin next from Telefilm. Hi, Julie.
Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm Julie Blondin. I'm the National Director at Telefilm for Business Affairs and Co-Production. I'm a middle-aged Caucasian woman with short brown hair and wearing eyeglasses, sitting in my home office, not surprisingly, and the background is blurred. There's not much to see. Telefilm Canada, who are we? If you can switch to the next slide. We are a funder. That's primarily what we are. We are a Crown corporation whose mission is to foster and promote the development of the Canadian audiovisual industry. Furthermore, in 2012, we started a talent fund, which collects private donations that are used primarily to support emerging talent. Now, how exactly do we foster and promote the development of the Canadian audiovisual industry? That's what everybody's dying to know. So next slide, please. We administer 3 mandates. We do the co-productions recommendations for Heritage. We administer the programs on behalf of the Canada Media Fund. And more recently, we are also administering the short-term compensation fund. We are also administering our own 9 financing program. I'm going to talk today more about 4 of these, the feature film development program and 3 production program, talent to watch, theatrical documentary, and production, each with their mission and objectives. In my presentation, which is going to be made available to you in a few days, if I understood correctly, anything that is highlighted in blue is a hyperlink, so you can go straight to the source. Next slide, please. I'm going to start by talking about overarching principles that apply across our programs, good things that are important to know when considering to deal with Telefilm. First, except in the Talent to Watch program, Telefilm only deals with Canadian companies. So to apply a Telefilm, you do need to be incorporated and you will need to create an account in our system, in our portal, which is called Dialogue. The key personnel on projects must generally be Canadian citizens or permanent resident. I say generally because there are exceptions possible, but generally, it has to be Canadian citizens or permanent residents. It's Telefilm Canada, so projects submitted through these programs must be feature length. That means for us 75 minutes or more. And each program has a specific list of required documents which must accompany the application. Read the guidelines and the essential information guide when you think of applying. And if you still have doubts or questions, call us. There's a slide further down the line with all the contact info. Next slide, please. So still in the overarching principle for all of our programs, each program has a fairly short yearly application window, which needs to be strictly abided by. When I say short, in the vast majority of programs, it's 2 weeks, sometimes once a year, exceptionally twice a year. So it's very important to subscribe to our industry advisories to stay informed on these application windows. For financing in fiscal year 2002-2003, so the fiscal year runs from April 1st, 2002 to March 31st, 2023, I've listed the application periods. Here, the next one is in February 7th for low budget productions, as well as the Indigenous stream. Next slide, please. We're going to dive more into the details now. First with the development program, which I have to say from the get-go, take it with a little grain of salt because the program is under revision. I don't think it's going to change, that there's going to be a revolution, but I'm sure we will modernize it and fine-tune it. But nevertheless, I thought it was important to explain what it was last year, and because it's likely to be fairly similar. 3 streams that are of most interest for us here today: the selective stream, the Indigenous stream, and the stream for Black and people of color. For the selective stream, you need to be a production company that has produced at least 1 feature film that was released theatrically or premiered at a qualifying festival in the last 6 years. Alternatively, you can have produced a Canadian fiction or documentary film that was financed through our Talent to Watch program and distributed in the last 6 years. For the Indigenous stream and the stream for Black and people of color, the production company applying has to be majority owned and controlled by Indigenous persons or persons that identify as Black and people of color. And that company must have produced an eligible short or feature film, 1 hour of TV, or a film funded through the Talent to Watch, a program which was distributed in the last 6 years. The writer and producer must be Indigenous or self-identifying as Black or people of color. Next slide, please. We're going to go into the evaluation criteria. So at the core of the proposal that is evaluated for development financing is a pitch document, a 5 to 10 pages summary. And we're looking at creative elements, track record of the key creative personnel, and the cultural impact and audience reach potential. There's a link there to the evaluation grid. Again, that was the one applicable for last year, which will give you the weight of each of the criteria. Proposals are evaluated by advisory committees composed of internal and external members. And by the way, this applies to all of our programs. It's always advisory committees, both internal and external members. The average response rate is 11 weeks, and the success rate, depending on the streams, varies between 53 and 59%. Next slide, the Talent to Watch program. Now, this is probably of interest to many of you. Talent to Watch is a program that specifically targets emerging talent. What is emerging talent for Telefilm and for this program in particular? Emerging talent is someone that has previously produced, directed, or written at least a short film, web production, television, commercial, music video, or equivalent experience in the screen-based industry. Furthermore, they cannot have previously held the same key position on a feature film. There are 3 streams: industry partner stream, where you need to be recommended by a recognized partner, the list of which will be made available on our website. The festival selection stream, the project has to have an emerging director that directed a short film selected at a recognized film festival. And the filmmaker direct apply stream, that's the exception I was talking about not having to be a Canadian company. All key members for that stream attached to the project must be Indigenous, Black people of color, women, gender diverse, and 2 SLGBTQIA+ individuals, persons with disabilities, and or members of official language minority communities. Evaluation criteria are pretty much the same as we've seen for development, but we also consider project viability. One of the reasons for that is that selected project must start principal photography no later than 18 months after selection. We expect answers to take roughly 12 weeks, and I have to say that we expect the acceptance rate this year to be 10%. So brace yourself, I guess. Next slide. And next program, theatrical documentary program. So the title says it all. This is really for feature-length documentary project. And among other things, to be eligible for that program, you need to have a firm commitment from an eligible Canadian distributor. There's also an Indigenous component to that program, for which the project needs to be under financial and creative control by Indigenous persons. Evaluation grid is available on the website. Again, we're talking creative elements, track record, project viability, cultural impact, audience reach, and each criteria is clearly weighted in the evaluation grid. Advisory committees are expected to render their recommendation. Well, last year it took 23 weeks and 32% of projects were accepted. Last but not least program, the main, so next slide, please. The main production program. So the main production program, but I'm going to focus on the lower budget stream. So for budget up to $3.5 million. This stream is a stream for which you do not need to have an eligible distributor attached. There's also an Indigenous stream component to it, where you need to be under financial and creative control of, the project needs to be under the control of Indigenous persons. Evaluation criteria, again, there's a grid that is available on the website that gives you the weight given to each of the usual evaluation criteria. And advisory committees last year, pardon me, the average response rate was roughly 19 weeks, and less than 18% of projects were accepted. Next slide. I'm going to take a step back for a moment and describe the process in general when dealing with Telefilm. When an application first comes in, a coordinator evaluates whether the basic eligibility criteria for the program are met and whether all required documents are in. If your application is incomplete, they will communicate with you. Then it moves to evaluation by a project financing team and the advisory committee. If it's negative, it stops there. Positive, you will move into due diligence, get a commitment letter with conditions that must be satisfied within a very specific timeline. Your project has to be viable within a few weeks or months. Viable means finance, cast, final budget. And if all goes well, you get a contract, and it has to be, again, within a few weeks or months. So you will get, I skipped there's because the time, we've run out of time. So I skipped to the next slide. And then on the next slide, you have the contact info for everyone. We invite you to call if, after having read the guidelines and consulted the webpage, you have any questions left. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Julie. I'm sure more information will be shared in the Q&A, and of course, people can get in touch with you for any clarification. So we'll move on to Julie Roy from the National Film Board. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Susanna. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you for this invitation. Yes, my name is Julie Roy. I'm the Director General of the Creation and Innovations Department at the National Film Board of Canada. I'm a Caucasian Canadian, white woman, curly blonde hair, and I'm speaking to you directly from my office based in Montreal. All right, let's start. Next slide, please. So in my presentation, I'm going to speak about why the NFB is a little bit different than the other organization as a public producer and public distributor. I'm going to speak about what is our core programming, the proposing process, and what is the selection process as well. We can continue. So yes, the NFB is not a funder. This is very important to understand. We are really a public producer and a public distributor. Next slide. So what does it mean exactly? The NFB is a federal agency working under the Department of Canadian Heritage. Mainly our mandate is really to create, to produce, and to distribute distinctive and original audiovisual works that reflect the diverse realities and perspectives of Canadians, and to share these works with the people of Canada and the rest of the world. Which is totally unique is that within the same institution, we're assuming all the phases from the investigate to development, to production, post-production, and distribution. So this is true for a short, a feature-length documentary, animation, or interactive. You can have access to our mandate on our website, nfb.ca or onf.ca. We are divided in two programs, English program and French program. And as the Director of Creation and Innovation, I'm overseeing all the programming and the production across our 10 studios that are based across Canada, from Vancouver to Halifax. Next slide, please. So next week, I'm going to speak about our core programming. Next slide. So as the producer and distributor, our main programming, our core programming is focused on documentary, all formats, feature length, short, animation. Basically, we're working on short form. We're really out of the industry. We don't produce feature animation and don't produce commercial series neither. We're more author-driven producer and interactive work, which means virtual reality, artificial intelligence, gaming, immersive work, installation in public space, and so on. We also offer two programs dedicated to independent filmmakers. So the FAP, which is the Filmmaker Assistance Program, is managed by the English program, and the ASIC, Aide au Cinéma Indépendant Canadien, is focused on, is managed by French program. So basically, those two programs offer some technical services to independent filmmakers. If you want to come to Montreal, you can have access to our post-production services, which mean the theater for recording, the mixing, the editing room, and so on, and for only 10% of their values. And on the English side, you can have access to many that you can use for technical services. We offer as well some labs and special initiatives, and I invite you to follow us on our social media to have access to our news regarding those calls out and requests for proposals. Next slide. So proposing your project, we can continue. So as I said, 2 programs, English and French program. We have on the English side, regional mandates studio that are based in very specific regions. So one studio that covers BC and Yukon, another one for the Northwest Territories, Ontario studio, and a Quebec Atlantic studios. We have 2 studios that really have very specific expertise and mandate to cover animation for the animation studio and a digital studio as well. You see all the links in this presentation. If you go online, you're going to have all the information per studio, all the mandates per studio, and all the information about the producers and the executive producers who are really the manager of each studio. We can change the slide, and you have the same on the French side. On the English side, we have 6 studios and 4 on the French program. So 2 studios that cover documentary, the Francophonie Canadienne and the Quebec Documentary Studio, and again, an interactive studio and a French program studios. Next slide. So proposing your project. So we welcome projects that are really from Canadian citizen or permanent resident people. What we want is to have your idea, to learn from your vision. What do you see unfolding in front of the camera? As important, why this story is important to tell, and why are you the one who tell this story? So a short bio will give us information about you, about your background. We're not there we welcome emerging filmmaker, mid-career, and seasoned filmmaker as well. In your project, what is the sense of audience? Any comparables to address where it's going and how it stands out from what's already there? What kind of impact would you like to create? Who is the audience that you would like to target with your project? So just give all that kind of information to make our producer able to assess your project. Different business model. We work in 100% NFB film. The NFB is the fully producing your project and fund your project, or you can work in co-production, which is a different business model. You can, just to add that you can submit your project by email. Again, all the information is available per studio online. Next slide, please. So what is important for us? At the NFB, we really value the creator's vision. This is the central part. And when you submit a project, please have in mind what is the relationship between the content, your story, what you want to talk about, and the format / platform and the public. Is your subject, your point of view, what is the best format to speak to the audience you want to reach? So just have this in mind when you send us a proposal. Another slide, please. Selection and next steps. So we are looking for, we have considerations. It's not only precise criteria, it's really larger considerations. We're not looking for a very specific subject. We're not looking for specific topics, but we want to have access to your vision as a creator. So about the creative, the strength of the story or the concept. I'm talking about story or concept because we're producing experimental project as well, whether it's documentary, animation, or interactive. What is the intention? What is the approach? What is your point of view? What is your relationship with the community? What is your identity? What is your legitimacy regarding your project and your relationship with certain community? The geographic location, as you know, we have 10 studios. We are considering to cover and to be equitable with this representation as well. Again, the audience and the impact. What kind of impact would you like to create? And the feasibility of the project, and the feasibility from a financial perspective, resources, the crew, the timing regarding our planification over years. Okay, we can change the slide. All the proposals are analyzed by our producer and our executive producer. So you will get an answer within 8 weeks, whether there's an interest or not from our producer. It's not easy to give a lot of details to all the proposal because we received a lot. But if you have any questions, please reach out to one of our producer and we'll do what is possible to give you some feedback. Next slide, please. So again, we're not a funder, we're a public producer and distribution. We have different models for collaboration, whether it's NFB 100% or co-production. Reach out to us at the very beginning of your process, at its initial stages. We really encourage you to connect with us. We don't have any precise deadline. You can send your project whenever you want during a year. The evaluation, the assessment are a very ongoing process internally. Before you submit, go online, look at the films that we produce, tell us why and how your project connects to the NFB and what makes it stand out. And please, yes, reach out to producer, or with the next slide, you're gonna have another people you can reach out to, which is Bridget Turney, who is in charge of the planning and programming, so she can answer all of your questions as well. So this is it for me. Thank you very much for your attention.
All right, thank you, Julie. We're going to move on to the questions section. So this first question is a few questions that were, sent by the registrants. I've built it into one question. So looking at the types of supports that exist for emerging filmmakers, the speakers, you each touched on some of those programs. So the question is, within these programs, how do we make our applications stand out? And what are some mistakes? What are some common mistakes that people make as applicants? Does someone want to jump in?
I can jump in. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right. So this is Julie Blondin. I would say that one of the most common mistakes is to not be familiar with the program beforehand, not having read the guidelines, consulted the essential information guide, looked at the list of required documents. That's definitely common. For production programs especially, we urge you to read the guidelines and contact your local feature film executive before applying. The other common mistake is to miss the deadline, and that is so sad when it happens, but the fact is that we have very short yearly window. So stay tuned, subscribe to the industry advisory, because it's really sad when there's a missed opportunity for a matter of deadlines, but we have to be really strict with that. Yeah, I would say these are the most basic mistakes: not having fully comprehended the evaluation criteria, the program, not having reached out to the feature film executive if it's production, and missing deadlines.
I can jump in.
Yes.
So on our side, basically, when you want to impress the NFB, don't try to impress, just be yourself. And we're looking really for, point of view and your vision as a creator. So don't try to see what is an NFB film. There is no NFB, pattern. The pattern is the author. So let's be clear on this. This is a mistake I see a lot. And make sure that you present yourself. Megan, you were pretty clear in your presentation. Made a very clear presentation of who you are, what is your background. Don't assume that we know you. So just test your pitch with someone before, maybe, to see if it's complete. That would be my other tip.
Julie stole all of my talking points. So essentially the same deal. I was going to say it's very important if you can get somebody who is like doesn't have a film background, even just to be like, if I read this to you, do you understand the project that I'm doing? Does it make sense? It's also good to get a second set of eyes to like find any little typos or things that might be coming into the application, just to help clean it up and make it very precise. And also it's just very important to, I touched a little bit on support material, but that is, and it's not even required for all of our grants, but it's like a very important part of it. So especially if you're dabbling into something that you're not necessarily have the experience in, or you're trying something new, it's very important to say, okay, well, here's some other things that I've done that's maybe somewhat related to this. Here are some collaborators that I'm bringing onto the project. Here's their experience to help bridge that gap so that you can get those. I see that feasibility is something that's scored across the board for these organizations. So it helps with that feasibility score when we're evaluating applications. So you're trying to, you don't want any questions leaving the committee, asking themselves what's happening here. You just want to fill in all of those gaps.
Okay, great. Thank you. My next question is, when people are submitting their applications, what are the most important materials? And like, what are the materials you're looking for that you get most excited about? There's always talk of a demo, a pitch deck, a mood board, or written, the log line. What are the things that get you excited? And can you single out one item that is the most important thing?
I'll jump in. The situation's, I guess, a little interesting for us because we have competitions where we have like a short animated piece going up against a feature-length film, and it's like all in there. So there isn't like one given piece that we would ask for to make sure that we can make a decision on a file. It's as I mentioned before, giving us all of that information so that we know that you can deliver on that project and you're going to deliver well on that project. So I mentioned there's like two types of support material that we like. So, if you have any contracts with people, if you're going to be working with collaborators, we want to make sure that you're paying your collaborators fairly if you're going to be hiring anybody on your projects. So things like that. We also want to make sure that you're paying yourself a decent wage while you're doing the work, so you can ask for subsistence in our grants. So yeah, it's the support material that you're going to be submitting at council is essentially backing up your experience where you don't have the experience, where your collaborators might be coming in and helping you with that. And you could also be filling that in the application form to explain why this is an important learning opportunity for yourself, because there's also we score for impact on the artistic community, on your artistic development. So it all ties back to that assessment criteria slide that I had up. So the assessment criteria is very important. Always tie back to that.
So there's a common theme there as well. I mean, it depends, and support material for us are called required documents, but it's the same concept. So you have to keep an eye for that. And it depends on the program. It's a boring question, but we're not looking for the same thing for every program. In general, though, in production, and that includes theatrical documentary, a good script, a convincing director's vision, and a marketing strategy that is well thought of, that is really like the triangle that we're looking for. A community engagement plan can go a long way to convince the advisory committee that your project is relevant as well and important. But truth be told, at the heart of any application is a good story well told. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, well, I would say that we're looking for something that is distinctive and unique. So what is your motivation behind this project? And, you know, we are very excited when we can reach people that don't see themselves on screen. So that's something that it's really interesting, you know, in the balance of the whole programming. But, you know, when you have, be clear, be concise, and when you have some visual to support a proposal, this is always something interesting for us.
Okay, great. Thank you. What are the best supports that you can offer if someone's in the middle of an application or they don't know where to start? Are there workshops? Should they call you? Is everything here in this recorded video that we can go back to it? Where are you telling people to go to get support with their application?
It can't all be in the video. We only had 10 minutes and we had so much more to say. Definitely the first place to start is the website. We put everything on there. So consult the webpage, the guidelines, the essential information guide. If it's not clear, call us. But also before the opening of every program, we usually do either an outreach or a webinar, or a Q&A session. In fact, I've seen in the Q&A quite a few questions about the Talent to Watch program. There is a webinar specifically for the Talent to Watch program in mid-February. So I invite you to go on the website and the Talent to Watch page in order to be able to attend the Talent to Watch webinar. You'd have all your answers there for sure.
I'll jump in next. We have information sessions that happen sporadically throughout the year. We even do like a targeted one. So if an organization comes to us and, you know, okay, we represent this group of artists and we would like to have some more information about your grants, we can organize a little information session for people as well. But in a general sense, yes, a lot of our information is available on our website. And what I advise is going through, if you're planning on applying for a grant, go through that application, see if you're having any questions, and then get in touch with us as early as possible. Because as I mentioned, I think it's like we can get sometimes 30 to 40% of the applications are submitted on the deadline / cutoff date for us, which means if everybody sent a question on that day, naturally we won't get back to you in time. So it's very important to get in touch with us as early as possible so we can get it all sorted out. And then also sorting out like eligibility, ineligibility stuff, because I can imagine it's a frustrating process to write an application only to find out it's not eligible in the first place. So you deal with it as early as possible so that you save yourself the time down the line.
Yes, well, the website, as Julie said, for us, that's a really important place to have all the information. There's the email for all our producers, so it's easy to find them. But I would say as well to really be part and to participate to that kind of a professional event, panel, conference. And, you know, when it's possible to participate in person in some festivals, you know, to meet in person some producers or people that are there to represent the organization. I think that's a nice way to start the conversation and, you know, to ask questions and develop your network.
Okay, super. Thank you. I'll move on to the live questions. The first one is a question for Megan. Does the Canada Council recognize producers as artists? Can writer-producers apply for Canada Council funding? Can you also explain how artists' eligibility might be impacted by their incorporated company, if at all?
All right, so specifically, so a council, in order to apply for grants, you need to get a approved profile. So producers cannot apply through the independent media artist profile. You might be able to qualify as a new and early career artist depending on your history there if you're looking to start, you know, creating independent media artwork. then that might be a place to look there. But in order to qualify for that independent media artist profile, you have to have at least had one independent film that has been selected by a professional, which means it's like got through to an artist center or a festival or what have you. And then what happens there is we support the director and we expect the director to be paying everybody associated with the project from there. So if depending on your circumstances, you might qualify for a new and early career profile. If you manage to have created a work where you directed it and you've presented it, you might qualify for the independent media artist one. It's a case-by-case basis there, but council specifically deals with our definition of independent film. I'm not going to say that's the definition of independent film there. So it'll be on a case-by-case basis. But typically we support the directors in creating works. I feel as if I'm missing like a subsection of that question, but if I missed a part, please remind me here.
I think, yeah, can you explain how artists' eligibility might be impacted by their incorporated company?
Okay, so I didn't get a chance to go through all of like the requirements and our definition of independent because that could be like a whole 20-minute presentation on its own. But if you have a production company attached to the film, that's fine, so long as you are an owner or a part owner of the production company. But if that is not the case, then it would technically not meet our definition of independent. So that's fine. Some people have production companies, and that's fine by us.
Okay, great. Super. A related question for Julie Blondin. Can producers apply for Talent to Watch?
Yeah, yes, definitely. Well, not individual producers, however, as I said, it's production company and teams. There are 3 streams with each of their different criteria. For recommended, okay, 3 stream. 1, you have to be recommended by a recognized partner. 1, the director has to have had a short film selected in an eligible festival. And the 3rd stream is the direct to apply for underrepresented groups. For more details on the Talent to Watch program, eligibility and selection process, I strongly encourage you to keep an eye out for a webinar in a couple of weeks.
Okay, great, thank you. I have a question here for Julie Roy, and it's a long question again. Is the Filmmakers Assistance Program available for a producer who's making a feature film and not a documentary? So I'm guessing a narrative, fiction film. Does the NFB accept short form series?
For the FAP program, if I understand correctly.
Yes.
For the FAP, it's feature is accepted, not series, and features is mainly is short format. Basically, it has to be a very modest structural financial structure. If there's a broadcaster, if it's really fully financed with all the industry grants, it won't be eligible. It's really for independent filmmakers. So that's the boundaries, but no series, but yes, feature is accepted.
Okay, great, thank you. And one more for you. Can you comment on the ownership of a program, of a project when involving the NFB as a co-producer? What does ownership look like?
Well, it's divided as the percentage of investment. So it's divided between the NFB and the co-producer on equity. So we have also to negotiate distribution agreements, and that will reflect as well the percentage of investment of all the parties.
Okay, super, thank you. Julie Blondin, we have a lot of questions here for you. Can you apply to Talent Watch for the same project again if you didn't receive funding the last time?
In theory, yes.
But?
Well, in practice, I haven't been aware of any time that has happened, because don't forget too that you have to be emerging talent or recommended by an industry partners. The streams have evolved over the year and the criteria have evolved. So I've never seen yet a project that is still eligible the following year, or that there hasn't been a change. But again, I know I sound like a broken record, but the specialist at Telefilm of the Talent to Watch program is Peggy Lanus, and she's the one that's going to be hosting the webinars in a couple weeks' time. And really, if you have a lot of questions about Talent to Watch, I strongly encourage you to attend.
Okay, great. And I guess for figuring out which stream to apply for, if you qualify for more than one, who
Same
should we
thing.
contact?
Yeah, and it's important. It's a very good question. And one stream is new for us. It's an improvement for this year, and that's the direct filmmaker apply. The one where filmmaker applied directly, however the stream is called. And this is new for us. So how will that correspond? How will that gel with the one where you have to be recommended by a partner is honestly not super clear to me. So again, it's a good question to ask at the webinar.
Okay, and then a third question here. If you have received Talent to Watch funding through the festival selection stream, can you gather a new team and apply under the Filmmaker Direct stream?
You'd have to be still qualifying as emerging talent. So whether or not the team would still qualify as emerging talent after having had one success, you'd have to read the guidelines and see if it still fits.
Okay. Okay, I have a question here for Julie Roy. How much money does the NFB have available for producing their projects? Where would I find a development budget template which outlines the acceptable development expenses?
Can I read it somewhere? Or can you repeat it?
Let's start with the first question, which is how much money does the NFB have available for producing a project?
A specific project, you mean?
Yes.
Well, it's customized, so it's difficult to say. I mean, it's not the same scope of budget for a short or a feature or an interactive. So really, we establish a budget very specifically answering the needs of it. So we evaluate the resources, the crew, the technique aspect. So we basically, it's customized, as I said. So we don't have a maximum or minimum. It's really related to the proposal and the evaluation that is done between the producer and the filmmaker.
Okay, and then do you have a template, a budget template that you encourage people to use?
We don't have that tool to share, but I don't know if my colleagues have one they can share. We're using the same kind of template as the industry, but we don't have that kind of tool to share, unfortunately.
Julie, do you have Julie Blondin, do you have a template that you would suggest using?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a template on our website, which actually, as I recall, was vetted by the NFB at the time that it was put together, and it was vetted also by the CAVCO.
And which one is it? Because there must be more than one budget template on.
There's no budget template for development, so take that out of the equation. Theatrical and production is the same template, and Talent to Watch as its own template because marketing or promotion expenses are expected to be incurred as well by the production team. So basically Talent to Watch and then the rest of production.
Susanna, just to complete my previous answer, we don't need a proposal for budget because the NFB, as I said, is not a funder. So we will make the assessment and we will prepare the budget. So we don't have to present us a budget in your proposal.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Megan, do you have any tips for budgeting, budget templates?
So all of our application forms comes with a set Excel budget. It's customizable to a point depending on the component or grant that you're applying for. So you would have to fill it out in order, and it's a required document with every application form. So Ideally, as I've been mentioning before, we don't want people making assumptions about any line items that you're putting in there. So if you can provide any additional context when you do add in new line items to our budget forms, to include them in, I believe we have like a last column that says budget notes. So elaborate as much as you can in those so that we get that context about your expenses in there.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Do we have time for one more question? Nope. Apparently, we're getting the cutoff signal. So I would just like to thank our panel, Megan Leduc, Julie Blondin, and Julie Roy, for talking to us about preparing our proposals and applications for the Canada Council, Telefilm, and the NFB. Thank you so much for your great presentations. Thank you to our audience for joining us today. And thank you to CBC, Cavco, and CMPA for hosting these sessions. This is our last session of the 4th One-Stop Business Workshop. Excuse me. And we hope that you found these panels useful. Links to the videos and resources from this series will be emailed out to everyone who registered. Thanks, everyone.